In your TED Talk, you said it's our job as Africans to tell the positive stories. So why do you think it's important for Africans to be the one to tell these stories?
Yeah, I mean, there's two reasons. One is that if you don't do it, nobody really is going to do it for you. But also, more importantly, you have a lens on on the story, and you can tell your story in a way that you want it framed. Now, if you look at how Africa is covered in global media, and we've actually just done a global media index where we've ranked the top 20 global media outlets that cover Africa, everything from the New York Times, the Washington Post, Al Jazeera to the BBC. And what we find is that they have a different way of telling the story, and they look at it often through a Africa is broken lens, or Africa is dependent, Africans lack the agency. There's a particular way they look at it. And, if you're telling a story about yourself, you will tell it the way that you want to tell it. So I think it's really important for us as Africans and, the diaspora, wherever you are, to tell the story the way you want to be seen. I always use the example of people's CVs. Now, when people put their CV, they put their best foot forward. They don't talk about the time when they failed this exam or they got kicked out of school. Everything on their CV is the way they want it to be. It's framed in a particular way. And that's what we get to do with our story. We can frame it in the way that works for us. It's not a lie. And one thing I do want to say is that, when we talk about positive stories, I don't like people to think that the work that we do at Africa No Filter is about sort of PR for the continent, as if nothing bad happens on the continent. Bad things do happen. There is corruption, there is conflict, there are all these things, but they're also equally in America and in Britain and in everywhere else. But the point is, we just don't want the focus to be on that. We're trying to say, shine the light on what's good, on what's making progress, because there's been a lot of progress. There's been a lot happening on the continent. There's a lot of positive things, but we're constantly seeing, and the stories that come out are the negative stories. And that's why I think it's important that, A, we tell the good ones.